told him or whatever, and I said, so, will you call for me? He's like, yeah, but, there's a big list, and they might not come. I was like, a list? Like, you know what? This is like the calmest neighborhood I've ever lived in my life. It's poor as shit, but other than like kind of weird random acts of violence, there's no drunk people in the street fucking doing their shit. That not like at other places, especially not like other places in Montreal. So I said, I was like, are they going after the pimps? And, I knew at this point that he wasn't going to help me either. He said he'd call, but I'm like, fuck it. I know what my status is. So, there you go, man. I did my fucking job. I kept trying to do my job. Nobody would fucking believe me. Nobody would fucking believe me, So, all I can do is my civic duty. And I did that. I did that to the best of my abilities. Yeah. I'm in Park X, which is the poorest neighborhood in North America right now. Yeah, that's me. And April 1st at about 12:40, my apartment building was broken into. Not my apartment, but my apartment building. There's many families who live here, and I'm the only white guy. Go figure. So, what happened was I walked out of my door because I was going to the 24-hour dep. 24-hour dep that's in my neighborhood, right? And so I decided, I'm going to get some cigarettes. And then what happened was I was walking out my door and this guy was right there. And I said, what the fuck are you doing in front of my house? Get away from my house. Like, get the fuck off my fucking porch. And so this guy, he was brown. A lot of South Asians in my neighborhood, and I'm sorry, but this is how it went down. I can't help, but I'm going to point it out because, there's no police action taken. And then we'll get to that. So, then what happened was the guy walked to this restaurant that's right next door, walked in. And I was like, that's weird. Okay, that's fucking weird, but I'm going to go to the dep. So I go to the dep. When I'm walking back from the dep, there's these three guys, like cruising cars. They're just looking into cars and walking along. One guy was carrying two big, huge plastic lawn chairs. Plastic lawn chairs down the street. So I'm just like, they're on a spree. They're doing their little shit, right? So there's a real big guy, and then there's a short guy with scoliosis that was built like a little matchstick, and there was this other third guy who was also small. They looked like kids, but this other guy didn't. This big guy didn't. He was wearing a gray hoodie. And so they scope cars, so I'm just watching them scope cars because, I grew up around things like this. I just wanted to see what they're doing. And then, a couple blocks down, in front of those guys, I saw the guy that was at my door before. The guy with the round tortoiseshell glasses that was out on my porch. He was looking in my front door window. And then, I don't know what it was, but he turned around and he walked, he was walking like a quarter of a block up to his car. And he was leaving, so I walk up to his car and I say, you know what? If you fucking come back to my neighborhood and fucking stand in front of my fucking door again, I'm gonna fucking cut off your head and I'm gonna chop up the pieces. I'm gonna send them to your family. Because that's how I roll. Yeah, I like scaring people when they're threatening me. I don't attack people generally, but if something happens, I have to do my stuff. And I wanted to attack him. I really did. I wanted to fucking attack him, but I was like, man, I'm on the street. It's his word against mine. And so he got in his car and he couldn't get his car out from between the two cars parked so close. So I threw my box of cookies at him because I was eating some cookies. I threw my box of cookies at his car. And then I walked off. I was like, oh wow, that's great. What a great night. Now I'll go home and smoke up. And so then I turn around, I'm walking back up my block, and those 3 motherfuckers are at my door. The big motherfucker is bending over, like he's picking the lock. And goddamn it, and then the 2 little guys are flanking him. He opens my fucking door. Okay, so I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna walk in like I'm one of them. Cause it's nighttime, and I got the fucking creep, I don't know. So the big guy fucking takes these chairs, right? These garden chairs he's been carrying, he puts them inside my foyer. They all file in. I go in behind them. Although I could have knocked them down the staircase. All 3 of them. I could have just fucking thrown them all down the staircase. Like, that, it was easy. But like I said, you know, no attacking. So I come up behind them and like, you don't fucking live here. What the fuck are you doing in my fucking house? You better get out of my fucking house right now. And so they they start fighting. I get a look at everybody. I've told everybody around here what they look like. So the big guy picks up the fucking chairs. I let him. He fucking deserves the chairs because of what I'm going to do, I guess. So he's taking his chairs. The little guys are already out on the sidewalk. They're kind of hustling down the street. Not hurrying, not hustling. And the big guy, he's just plodding along like a psychopath. Believe me, I know what that is. And so I start screaming at him, to him, what I'm going to do to him if I catch him. And, you know, I can't even remember all the fucking shit I told that guy. It was pretty graphic and threatening and piercing. And even if he couldn't understand English, which I think he probably did, just the voice and volume would just, like, scare somebody, I would hope. And then, as if that were not enough, they turned the corner, walking down a one-way street, and I just started howling like a fire engine, which I've got good practice at because, I can't even do it right now because it'd be too loud for my building, and it'd scare them. Okay, so, second time. Okay, so now, there's more things that happened that night, but the one thing I want to say is, like, then the next day, I don't have a phone, and I'm not going to call anybody. I don't care. I don't have a family. It's not my problem. If those guys come back, I can take care. You know, I'm not an amateur. However, there's families, right? So in my building, so I go start knocking on doors. I start telling these kids. And again, they're all South Asian people, but there's different cultures. They're from different places, different, like it's all, but everybody's kind of brown and I'm white. So, you know, like I've been in this building for fucking almost 10 years now. And so I'm talking and I'm trying to get adults around and finally I get some adults around and they're all mothers because fathers are at work. So I talk to the mothers and I'm telling them, you know, I found a weapon. Like, when I came back after it was all over, there was, this. In my foyer. So, one of those motherfuckers dropped it. Right? One of those motherfuckers dropped it. So, you know, I'm like, oh, there's a weapon. Maybe they wanted to hurt somebody. Maybe my little joke about being on a spree, maybe they are on a spree. I don't know. But I wait till the next morning and then I tell the families and I ask them, hey, look, I don't have a phone. If, you know, and I don't care about this, but you have families to protect, so you want to call the police. And they're like, oh, yeah, sure. So I was like, okay, so you guys call the police and I'll talk to them. And they wouldn't want to talk. They don't want to fucking talk to white police officers. Think about it. White police officers shoot unarmed black children in our city quite a bit. However, I did my part. I did my civic duty. I said, look, why don't you want to call the police? And they're like, well, I've got to talk to my husband. And I said, well, there's 2 of them, both of them. Like, I got to talk to my husband about this. I'm like, why? Like, right now is a great time. Like, it's the next day. They could be wearing the same clothes. They could pick them up. One of these guys is pretty conspicuous. Like, we can do something. And then in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, wait a second, this is kind of crazy. So they were like, this and that. I was like, and, you know, I described them like these were brown people, like you. They weren't white like me. And the women go, oh. And in the back of my head, I was like, oh, I shouldn't have said that because now it's about community instead of dangerous people with weapons breaking into, you know. And so they kind of started waffling it some more. They thought that it was going to be a white guy or a whole bunch of like 3 white guys, like because I'm a white guy and I'm telling this. You know, but like when I say they got brown skin, like these women were like, oh, and then they were shut down. I was like, okay, so like the safety of your children. I mean, what if these guys come back tonight? You know, they have a weapon, they know how to get into places, and guess what? They didn't want to call the police. So I was like, well, I've done my civic duty, and if they don't want to call the police, then you know, that's all I can fucking do about it. I said, look, ladies, why don't you want to do this? And they're like, oh, you know, culture, religion, blah, blah. I was like, so you're putting your thought processes above safety of your family. You won't call the cops. And they're like, no. So I was like, I'm not going to waste fucking 50 cents on a payphone. So I go to the firehouse and I knock on the door and this young guy comes. Yes, wait. You know, bonjour, whatever. And I'm like, hello, I live down the street, and guess what? Somebody tried to break into my house last night, and I don't own a phone. I know it's kind of strange, but I don't own a phone, and you guys are official, and you're right down the street. Will you call the police for me? And make, you know, and say I'm ready to make a report or whatever. He's like, well, the police station's on Jerry Park. I'm like, I don't want to fucking walk to Jerry Park. I've been walking around all day paying rent, fucking trying to get my neighbors to call. They don't want to call. I don't know why they don't want to call. And the guy just looked at me strange, and I know he hated that I was talking English. He hated that. I could see it on his face. I see it a lot. So... And then this other guy comes up, he's a big red guy, he goes, qu'est-ce que c'est? He didn't understand my English, which he should because he's in Quebec and it's kind of the law. You got to know English and French, right? He didn't hear what I was saying, no matter how loud I was talking. I don't know. It's fucked up.
Until I get first knife, second knife, a third knife. At the end, I kick the guy out, back, boom. The most go away. It means I don't want to fight anymore. I'm ready to win. I don't have to kill you. I already get your knife, but I throw away, give you back. If you fight me again, I will steal your knife again.
In this scene from the young men.
I chased 3 people away from my house from a break-in and another guy from peeping a couple days ago, trying to talk to people in the neighborhood, and I came out this morning, which is the Thursday after tech. There's a big old dead rat I never saw before. Looks like it's been there for a while though, but fuck. Big old dead rat in front of my front porch. The fuck am I gonna do? Get a shovel.